I had to take a dump during my mother's funeral. This is my earliest memory, I think. To be truthful, I think I remember this mostly because that's the first question I get asked by all the head shrinkers in here. Friendly fellows those doctors are. Apparently, before the state fries me, they want to get to know me as best they can. But all you came for is the blood and the killing and the gore, right? Hey, how often do you get this close to a so-called serial killer? Most people, never. Some people, almost never. And in my case, 8 people once. Well, actually it's a few more, but that's all they caught me on. I'm leaving the rest of them out there, kind of like an Easter egg hunt. Welcome to my freak show. My court-approved freak show. Go for the heart. Just don't eat it, says Archie Nunn, recalling a friend's counsel. Pretty sage advice for someone with nothing in the world but an orange jumpsuit, a tape recorder, a date with the electric chair, and a solo show on death row. A legendary killer, Nunn has one last wish: to heap massive abuse on the Disney Corporation, which he blames for his problems, and to tell of his twin obsession with serial television and serial murder. So I Killed a Few People, by Gary Ruderin and David Summers. I grew up outside of the Jewish part of Atlanta, but when I was 9, me and my family moved to Orlando. My dad worked for the company. He's an electrical engineer for Disneyland. He's a nice guy, always gets along with everyone. When I was a kid, I watched the movies and the TV shows, and I bought the image. But there's no greater problem in our society today than the effect that Disney is having on our children. All Disney movies can be boiled down to the same message, and that is, if you're ugly, a cripple, or a freak, good things will happen to you. But that's a false narrative. If Disney really wanted to help all little kids, they would show them movies and TV shows that send out a real message about life. And that is, if you're an ugly, crippled freak, here's what's gonna happen to you. Nothing. People will hate you. Mommies and daddies don't like cripples. Restaurants don't serve ugly people. You better live on an island. You should kill yourself. You should kill those that hate you. One day these little kids are gonna grow up and they're gonna learn the realities of life, and then they're gonna snap. They're gonna lose it. The blam! Disney has created more serial killers than the entire state of Wisconsin. I guess if I have any regrets, it's that I've hurt my dad. Like I said, he's a good guy and a good dad, and he ended up with a serial killer for a son. Not a ringing endorsement of fatherhood, but I don't blame him, and no one should. He is in denial about my death, though. He's never asked me about the killings, or why, or anything. He came to say goodbye to me. We were sitting there. It's a little awkward, so I break the ice. I said, "Hey, Dad, they told me the chair is the new 10,000 model from Westinghouse." This perked him up a little. He started chatting about the advanced technologies that went into making that chair and how it was a quality piece of equipment. I told him how they wet down my head to get better connections, and he thought that was a good way to ensure the flow of electricity to my brain. By the end of the discussion, he had fully explained the technical aspects of how I was going to die by electrocution. To him, this may have been the birds and the bees talk we never had. He got up to leave, and we just stared at each other. His last words to me were, "I know, Arch. I've always known." And then he turned around and left, and I just stared at him. I made a slight wave. It was after I couldn't see him, and I just... Right before they pull the switch, they ask you for your last words. I think I'll tell them about the only time I've ever killed out of genuine anger. The only time I lost something that I truly cared about. It was my first time. My first killing. I told you about my dad and how he was a good man. But when I was growing up, he didn't have much time for me, working at Disney and all. As for my mother, being happy to her meant vodka martinis for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with bourbon snacks throughout the day. Well, let's just say I was raised by the TV, okay? TV was my mother, father, priest, friend. You have to admit how valuable the television is. It's got comedy, drama, news, and history. And when I did want to be alone, all I had to do was turn it off and all my little friends would disappear and be there waiting for me when I was ready to get together again. The best part, they're never going to be too tired to play, or too busy, or too drunk. I thought things were going okay in life in general, but then there was this one chick, I don't know if she was jealous or what, but she was always trying to come between me and my friends. She'd mock me because we were all so close, and she'd whine about how I was losing touch with reality. I told her the TV was just as real as anything else, that a lot of my friends were there. She had no friends. She grew more jealous of me and my friends. And then one day, we just had a real blowout of a fight. She was drinking, so I went to my room and turned on the TV. When all of a sudden in the doorway behind me, I hear this heavy breathing. I turn and she's standing there, panting, sweating, and holding a claw hammer in her hand. She had lost it. But she was puny, and I knew I could take her. But I quickly realized that I wasn't the object of interest. I leaped at her, but it was too late. She drove the hammer through my friend. There was an explosion of glass and sparks, and then they were gone. All gone. She turned to me, and she said, "Now maybe you'll talk to me!" Through my rage, I was seething, but in the calmest voice I could muster, I said, "It'll be okay. Let's just clean up the mess." This confused her. She was ready for a knockdown, drag-out fight. She handed me the claw hammer and turned to go get the dustpan. And when she turned around, I dug the claw into the hammer into the back of her skull. And I dragged her back into the room. She was screaming. So I took the blood into the hammer and I smashed it into her throat. She really started crying then. But I know it's just to manipulate me, you know? Mess with my emotions. Turn my friends against me. Actually, she owed my friends an apology. I picked her up and I threw her head first into the TV. And I said, "You tell them you're sorry. You tell Johnny Carson and Johnny Quest you're sorry. Tell them what they won, Johnny." I can't believe I ate the whole thing. "Lucy, you got some splaining to do." "Hogan, this tape will self-destruct in 5 seconds. MICKEY. Why? Why? And then I realized she wasn't moving anymore. I let the body drop, but the head stayed in. I crouched down and stared at her. It wasn't as good as regular television, but I was fascinated by it. It was like making my own kind of television. I liked this show. I wanted to see more of this show. I stared at her face for a long time, a long while. I don't remember much after that, except I had to take a dump at her funeral.